Hey humans, Coach Nate here with another mindful focus. This post reads, when you finally learn that a person's behavior has more to do with their own internal struggle than it ever did with you, you learn grace. Our experiences in life, um, the trauma especially that we experience, endure, and encounter, impact and shape our behavior. It has a profound effect on who we become and how we behave. Many of the toxic behaviors that we experience from other people stem, are derived, are rooted in their internal conflicts based on their experiences, based on trauma that they may have endured, toxicity that helps shape their worldview and temperament, who they are, and how they choose to behave. How we respond to things that trigger us or various traumas is known as a trauma response. Someone, we've heard the fight or flight, different modes, and there are more than those. We're not going to get into that level of detail, but if I'm triggered by something, I'm going to resort to a behavior that generally protects me, and sometimes that's, for some, it's a behavior that can feel like a attack on others, but it's actually to protect them because they feel wounded or threatened in terms of their emotions, in terms of their security or lack thereof. And so it becomes a battle. It becomes a war. And the reason for that is many times they are hurting. They feel insecure. They're afraid and are struggling themselves, internal, waging a war and behaving badly as a result of that. The action is a result of how they feel because of something that occurred to, happened to, they encountered and dealt with. We are somewhat self-preservationists as humans, learning to adapt in the most horrific environments. Our level of, I'll say, natural resilience, yes, it varies by individual, but we learn to find ways, coping mechanisms. Sometimes that can mean shutting down. Sometimes that can mean blowing up, being loud, acting out, sarcasm, criticizing, being critical of others, finding the faults in them, as I said in my last video, so they don't see our faults that we don't want them to see because of how we feel about ourselves. And we feel that way most often because of the environment that, or environments that we've been in that exposed us to very uncomfortable feelings and experiences, toxicity, trauma, that caused us to act and function in a behavior. Now, is this a pass? There's the saying, hurt people hurt people. That's for our understanding. That is not to give permission for others to hurt us. Now that I understand your behavior better, I know then how best to conduct myself, knowing that that's who you are. You're a hurt person, and your way of coping and dealing with things is to hurt others. Until you choose to go through the healing process. Now, if you're choosing not to, that means your behavior is going to continue to be to hurt others, then we need to have a distance between us. So I'm certainly not going to idly sit by and allow your chosen path after, post-trauma, if you're choosing not to work on it, to inflict pain on me further or disrupt my peace and well-being. So in terms of the how of the let go, live now, win, know that most of the time people are not against you, they are for themselves. Let me say that again. People are not against you. They are for themselves. Whatever they need to do to protect themselves, to make themselves feel less worse in most cases, sometimes better, that's what they're going to do at the sacrifice of just about anybody and everybody other than themselves. Know that their behavior, when you see it occurring, is more than likely the result of an internal conflict or struggle, something that is challenging or difficult, or a wound that exists within them. Notice I didn't say wrong. The result of the behavior may feel and be that way, but if their internal struggle is a result of damage and wounds that have been inflicted on them by others, that is wrong. But how they feel about it, how they're how they've learned to cope with it, to survive. It may be, for some people, wrong to eat bugs when you can go to the grocery store, but if you're in the forest and you had a plane crash or you got lost and you're trying to survive, you're going to find whatever protein you can. So putting it into context on where it's at. The point is, refrain from taking it personally. It is not necessarily about you. It is really about them. And that hopefully will help you to have compassion on them. I'm sorry that whatever occurred in your life, that someone hurt you, that wounded you, that caused you to feel the way that you do, that is causing you now to behave in the manner that you're behaving and treat other people and not see it. If you're a kind, caring, compassionate person, you get to the point where you just have compassion for them. You feel badly, and you hope that they will come to that realization and then begin to work on the healing process. Now, if they're mean on purpose, and there are those, they're in the minority, but they exist, that it gives them jollies. They lack the compassion, kindness, empathy traits. Again, the minority. Most choose not to, but there are those that simply lack it. You can still have compassion on them because they have to live with themselves and who they are for the rest of their life. That is a prison and a jail I would never want to be in. They have to live with that level of the resulting impact it has on other people when they mistreat people, vileness. And, they say that we all make mistakes. We all do things that we don't intend, the unintentional. And they say that the first time it's a mistake. The second time, through the trillionth time, it's a choice. So when we come into the knowledge and understanding that we can modify and change our behaviors, and that often means starting with doing the work, healing from past wounds and trauma. They may not completely ever go away. Probably will always leave a scar depending on the extent of the trauma, but we can at least heal from them to not further inflict pain and trauma on others. But that begins at home with ourselves, inside ourselves, with who we are and who we choose to be. Just sharing some insights. Feel free to try it or toss it. Both answers can be correct answers. Which is only something that you can determine for yourself. If you like this content, feel free to give a like and a follow so you'll know when I post new content like this and you are made aware of it. And if you know somebody that could benefit from it, please share it with them to help improve another person's life or as they go through this life experience. And as always remember to let go, live now, and win.